Welcome back. Well, we're actually talking about electoral reforms, and then internal democracy in political parties. Let's redirect our conversation that way, because looking through the recent electoral reforms that the Senate did, there was this section where they talked about no political party can impose qualification criteria, measures or conditions on any Nigerian for the purpose of nomination for elective offices except as provided in the 1999 Constitution. But if I could go a little further in some of those clauses that were amended, then 14 there says all members of political parties are now eligible to determine the ad hoc delegates to elect candidates of parties in indirect primaries, and then they talked about what they expect. And then 15 there, which is huge, says party can no longer impose arbitrary nomination fees on political aspirants, and then they prescribe how much from a ward councillor aspirant in the FCT, that's about 150,000 naira, to the governor, 5 million, and the presidential aspirant, 10 million naira. So, do you think that some of these clauses that are amended will impact on either imposing candidates or ensuring that internal democracy in those parties are strengthened?
Unfortunately, not really.
Why?
The reason is that I once headed a political party, and after looking at everything, between us we said, to be a president, the law says that you should have a first school leaving certificate. That was a long time ago. So much has changed. We've seen so much. So we decided amongst ourselves that, for goodness sake, you should have a first degree for you to be a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That was just commonsensical. But now this reform says, no, you cannot do that. And I understand. The reason is that whatever the Constitution says is the final. That's where you have this problem about EFCC, whether the chairman should be subjected to Senate confirmation. What is in the Act must be subjected to what is in the Constitution. So that particular reform, to me, doesn't quite make sense. But
that's the aspect of qualification.
Qualification doesn't quite make sense. The second is that of imposing arbitrary fines or levies on aspirants. That also makes a lot of sense to me, because I remember that when we were contesting in 2007, we were about 28 candidates that bought form in Akwa Ibom State, and the total cost of each form, everything put together, came to about 5 million. So for the governorship alone, in Akwa Ibom State alone, PDP raked in 5 times 28, something in that region. Okay, that's a lot of money.
Pay the value fee of 5.
No, the value was actually 3 million, but it's a plus came to about 5. But you had to pay that.
Will the plus still be applicable, having put this seal?
That is where they are going to be able to run around, because you're going to get official receipt for, say, 150,000 if you want to go for the councillor. But you see, they are going to tell you, hey, you have to give chairman this, you have to this, you have to that. Those are off record. So they will now, it's like in trying to beat tax, they will give you your basic salary as so little, and then they will now give you certain rewards based on points which are not taxable. So you can see that your basic salary comes to about 200,000, but you take them at the end of the day 800,000.
Speaking about tax, let me also read this part. When they spoke about that section, that clause 13, where they say the election of a winner of an election can no longer be challenged on grounds of qualification if the winner satisfies the applicable requirements of section 65, 106, 131, or 177 of the 1999 Constitution. They listed several other sections. And now says, for example, A person's election cannot be challenged on the ground that he did not pay tax, as this is not a qualifying condition under the Constitution.
I find that almost preposterous, that you should bring in a situation of tax evasion as inconsequential.
But they say it's not required in the
That's
Constitution.
what I'm saying. And I wonder why they would want to bring that out. I believe that any man who wants to manage the resources of the country should have been a contributor to the resources.
But where do you think this internal democracy practice, where is it starting from? At what point are we missing it?
Thank you. What is the problem? I just noted it here. The problem is that no man will fight you to serve you. A man wants to wash your shirt, or you tell him, no, thank you. And he says, no, I must wash the shirt. And he's